Okay, thank you. All right, here we go.
And Danielle, did we all get the host abilities?
No, I can do that right now.
Okay.
Hi, everyone. We'll get started in just a moment. We're doing some Zoom logistics here. All right. So it looks like we just have a couple more people entering and we will get started. Co-host, would you mind letting folks in as I'm chatting? That would be awesome. Thank you so much. All right, so
can you do that? Sorry, Danielle.
Oh, that's okay.
Okay, I just have my share screen ready. Okay, thanks.
All right, so hi everyone. Thanks for taking time out of your day to attend today's University of Wisconsin System Virtual Career Trek featuring the Kellogg Peak Initiative and hosted by the University of Wisconsin-Madison. My name is Danielle Mariner, and I serve as the Employer Relations Coordinator in UW-Madison School of Human Ecology. UW System students, please complete the official registration form that I'll put in the chat in a moment. We'd love to know who you are, and if you are a student that gets credit for this, we will make sure that you have that. So that's going in the chat right now, and I'll share it a couple of other times during our time together. Official registration form. All right. So I wanted to just briefly chat about the career tracks if this is your first time here with us. This is a UW System initiative. It began during the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic. It's hosted virtually, clearly we're on Zoom, and features Wisconsin-based employers with one UW school hosting a trek each week every semester. Each trek gives students the opportunity to learn about organizations, jobs, internships, and get career advice from professionals around the state. You'll see on the slide that this is our official website, and you can also take a look at other past recordings of other treks that have happened throughout the semesters. There's some really good information in there. The next trek next week, March 2nd, will feature FDIC, the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, and is hosted by UW River Falls and UW Eau Claire. All right, so we're gonna do a quick live poll to see who's in the audience. So I'm gonna launch those really quickly. So we would love to know what school you are from, if you're a guest of ours, and what year in school you are. So I'll give you just a moment to fill that out. Hello, we have quite a few Stouter Stevens Point students. Welcome. Sophomores, juniors, seniors. Welcome, Eau Claire and River Falls. All right, so I am going to give you just one more moment and we'll end the poll. And I'll share the results for those of you who are curious. All right, so welcome everyone. Thanks for coming to chat with the Peak Initiative, folks. Okay, so one last thing before we begin, I'd like to mention that there is a live captioning feature available for those of you who are watching this presentation live. If you'd like to follow along with closed captioning, click the CC button at the bottom of your Zoom screen. And for those of you watching the recording of this presentation on YouTube, you can click the CC button on that tool as well. In a moment, I'll hand it over to our presenters. As they are presenting, please feel free to enter questions for them in the chat. We'll have time at the end of the presentation today for Q&A. All right, so now the main event. I would like to introduce you to Eve, Haley, and Dan of the Kellogg Peak Initiative.
Hey, y'all. I'm Dan Schiller. I am the former executive director, current advisor to the Peak Initiative. My pronouns are he, him, and his, and I'm going to pass it over to Haley.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Haley, she, her pronouns, and I'm the Assistant Director of Camp Operations at our overnight camp, Lake Valley Camp, which you'll hear more about shortly.
Hi, everybody. My name is Eve Smallwood. I use she, her pronouns, and I am the Lake Valley Camp Director. Pass back to you, Dan.
Cool. So I'm a UW alum. I went to UW-Madison and UW-Milwaukee for my graduate experience. So big ups to the UW system. We are going to start with a check-in question. So if you can advance the slide to that. All right, and we're going to do this using the annotate feature. So if you've not done that before, you go up to the view options and click annotate. And I want you to just leave a little stamp on what you would rather do. Talk to animals or be able to speak all languages. This is a tough one. Would you rather be able to talk to animals or be able to speak all languages? And I'm going to put mine in there too, because I just like this question. All right, people are figuring it out. All languages coming in with the lead. All right. Do I have any brave souls who would like to unmute and share why you chose one or the other? Going once, going twice. Anybody really excited about their answer that they want to share?
Dan, can I share?
Yeah, you can.
Hey, y'all, I just really wanted to challenge myself today. I got to tell you, I wanted to choose speak all languages. That one makes sense. I love to travel. So I was like, I'm going to challenge myself on this other one. And I just thought it would be so cool, you know, superheroes who can talk to ants. I was picturing some Ant-Man action and all the cool things that I might be able to accomplish or learn about the natural world. So that's why I chose that one.
Yeah. You know what? My initial is talk to animals because I just think it's like whimsical and fun, but practical. Like, what would I rather do? It's speak all languages. I think I'd get more use out of it. So we warm up with check-in questions. One, it's just to like read the room. Two, as a presenter, when you're leading a thing, it gives you a chance to like gather your breath and to ease into the presentation as well, because public speaking can be tough. And sometimes it's related to what we're talking about. This is not necessarily related to what we're talking about, but it's just a way to warm up and connect to each other. We use a lot of these at Peak. Next slide, Eve.
Sorry, I was over here still on annotate. My bad.
Really likes the check-in question. Cool. So the Peak Initiative is a youth serving organization. We're a youth leadership organization. And our mission is to bring out the limitless potential in young leaders through extraordinary experiences and nurturing relationships. And I think like the important things to remember from that, young leaders, extraordinary experiences, nurturing relationships. Like, we believe young people all have the potential to be leaders, and everybody is a leader at some point. And we support leadership development through creating access to experiences young people wouldn't otherwise have access to, and then nurturing relationships between peers and adults. We define leadership, so this is the peak definition of leadership, as understanding, developing, and using your power to positively influence places or people. So uplift those around you and uplift the places where you go. And our vision is that our alumni shape their communities with poise, persistence, confidence, and character, and that Peak is a recognized expert in preparing young people for a life of leadership and purpose. So on this Career Treks journey, I know there are a lot of other companies who've participated and who will participate, and maybe some of you have sat in on some of those. We are a mission-driven organization, and I think a lot of companies or organizations can claim to be mission-driven, but mission is at the center of everything that we do. I'm a lifelong nonprofit professional. I remember early in my career when I told people I was going into nonprofit, I'd get like the empathetic or sympathetic head tilt, and people wanted to pat me on the head and told me that was a really kind thing to do. But being a nonprofit professional is a legitimate career path. It is something that I have done for almost 20 years, and it's provided me an opportunity to really support my community and to learn and grow in the process. And there's a variety of ways to plug in as a nonprofit professional. So my background is in psychology. My graduate degree is in social work. And I was, for 7 years, I was an executive leader, which is, often a position that's held for people with MBAs or backgrounds in business. But I think in nonprofit, you get a chance to do a variety of different things and try on a variety of different things. But also, understanding that the contributions that you're making are making our world a better place, which, is a pretty cool thing to do. Next slide, Eve. So Peak has a program center in Milwaukee. So we have got a brand new, vibrant program space right in a park right in the center of the city of Milwaukee, where we run after school, out of school, community-based programming, and day camp programs. It is central in the city, and it is right amongst all of the young people that we serve. You can see it's kind of landscaping is coming in, but that is our program space. It's really important for us that it's an accessible space for the young people and the families that we serve. Okay, next one. And we also run Lake Valley Camp. Lake Valley Camp is in Boscobel, Wisconsin. So it's like a 650-acre parcel of land, rolling hills, and all sorts of incredible natural experiences for young people to gain access to. We bring young people out to camp in the summer. We serve youth ages 7 to 17, and then young adults in their leadership journeys as well. We employ it's close to 90 seasonal staff members in our Milwaukee operation and in our camp operation. So we hire seasonally, but we also have 20 full-time staff members in a variety of different roles as well. And we are serving about 550 kids from the community through direct service, but we also make connections to young people and families kind of all across the community. So those 550, that's the core group that we work with, but we're supporting leadership development. So they're going into spaces and places where they're having a direct impact on people around them. And so it's really exponential impact. And I think that's one of the most exciting things about that work that we do at Peak. We're helping young people be as good as they can possibly be, and they carry that with them wherever they go. And they make the communities they're in and the people they're around better. And that has been a really exciting thing and something I've really enjoyed being a part of in all of my time with Peak. And then this kind of shares, we have 100+ staff members, and we have staff members from all over the world. So we do a lot of recruitment locally. We want people to understand and be representative of the community that we serve. We also employ people from across the nation and across the world. Running summer programs, running camp programs gives us the chance to bring people from kind of the wide reaches of the globe and bring them together for a common experience in supporting young people and being at their best. So we have this great community of young people that we support, but we also are cultivating this incredible community of young staff leaders who make connections with each other and stay connected forever. And so we have a really incredible alumni network that we stay in contact with and that stay in contact with one another. So I think that is also been one of the best experiences I've had with Peak, is having young leaders from across the world come to work with young people and like leave their mark and impression on me and on the people that they're around. So it's been a really cool thing. And then I'm handing this over to Eve to talk a little bit more about what it's like to work at camp for those who are seeking seasonal employment or as an entry point into working with youth or for a nonprofit organization.
Thank you, Dan. Yeah, I'm going to expand a little bit on what Dan said about why you might want to work here and what it's like to work with us at Peak. But before I do that, I want to give a little shout out to the Pointers in the room. I'm also a Point alum, so woo-woo. But yeah, Dan mentioned that our participants are part of a leadership journey. They're doing leadership development through their time at Peak, and it's no different for our staff. Working at Peak provides an opportunity for staff to grow personally and professionally while having a tremendous impact on the young people that we serve. So I know when Danielle started, she did a poll asking about what school you're from, what year you are, but what I didn't get a sense for was what majors or what career paths we have in the audience today. So if you could please go to the chat and just enter in what major you are or what your intended career path might be. I'm going to give a moment so that I can see who we have in the room. Business management, accounting, marketing, agriculture, marketing, communication, business management, HR, professional writing, computer science, business management, and marketing. Awesome. Well, I have good news for all of you. Working at camp is going to be beneficial for you regardless of what career path you're on. And I believe that to the bottom of my heart. Working at camp is like no experience you will have anywhere else. And as this slide kind of goes through, it's the kind of leadership development experience that you're not going to gain from taking a class. You're not going to gain it from watching a TED Talk. Like, you are in it at camp and you're going to develop these skills. Working in the camp environment cultivates communication skills, critical thinking and problem solving, interpersonal leadership skills, collaborative skills, and creativity. And I guarantee that you're going to need all of those things regardless of the career path you go down. And they translate well from what you do at camp onto a resume for those future career paths as well. I've also seen throughout the years many staff come work at camp and completely change their career path due to their experience working at camp. So they might figure out something about themselves. Like maybe they really like working with youth and they didn't realize that. And it causes them to completely switch their career path or just learn a little bit about themselves. And earlier, Dan mentioned what it's like to work at a nonprofit and the mission-driven work. This is a great opportunity to try that out. If you're thinking about nonprofit work, if you've never thought about it, but you'd like to try it and see what it's like, entering into a summer role with the Peak Initiative would give you a taste of that to see what it feels like to work for a mission-driven organization. All right, so let's talk about what it's like to be at camp. I'm not going to do a chat on this, but I don't know how many people in the room have attended camp, have potentially worked at camp before. So I'm going to go through this a little bit, what it looks like at our overnight camp, Lake Valley Camp, which is where Haley and I both work. So what's it like to be at Lake Valley Camp? It's an inclusive, welcoming, and supportive environment where our campers and staff grow and they learn and they make lifelong connections and friends. And, Dan mentioned that we get staff from all over the world, all over the country. I think it's really special to not only watch our campers form those bonds and relationships, but our staff create friendships that last a lifetime. And I was just talking to one of our alumni who was like, yeah, I'm heading over to a wedding in, I think he said New Zealand, with 2 other camp staff. So, you make those friendships and they last a lifetime and can expand your horizons in big ways as well. It's in a natural, beautiful setting. You saw those pictures in Dan's intro. We have rolling hills, we have a lake. It's just gorgeous, and it's a beautiful natural setting. And our campers come out for 11-day sessions primarily. So they come out from Milwaukee, they hop on a bus, come out, and then they join a cabin group of 8 campers and a couple of counselors to spend those 11 days participating in those unique experiences that Dan mentioned. So at camp, we have things like archery, we have canoeing, we have arts and crafts, campouts, campfires, s'mores, singing, all those traditional camp experiences that some of these young people may not have had the opportunity to do before. And they get to try it out and build on their skills every year. And camp is fun. Camp is a good time. But as Dan mentioned, we're here for a lot more than that. And so the sneaky business of camp, or not so sneaky, we're actually pretty loud and proud about it, is that it's also about developing leadership, building relationships, and learning skills for life. So for our staff, aside from getting to guide these young people in this incredible experience, there are additional benefits to you that I wanted to elaborate on just a little bit. I mean, one of those things is getting a change of scenery and getting to be in a natural, beautiful setting. Research shows that kind of being outside and spending time outside is really good for us. And so you get to have that same benefit that our campers have by being in that natural setting. It's typically a requirement for most of our roles out at Res Camp that you live and eat on site. And so I won't call that a benefit necessarily, but I will say that if you're somebody who doesn't have to pay rent over the summer, having all of your meals included and not having to pay for additional housing at camp can be beneficial for some people. And then I also wanted to mention our competitive wages. So we've looked at wages, in any summer job that you can get within the camp industry and outside of the camp industry. And we've been able to raise our wages so that they are competitive. So at Res Camp, our counselor positions actually start at $600 a week. And it just goes up from there based on responsibility. So overnight camp, Res Camp, great because people can work there from all over because housing is included. But we also have day camps and community camp in the Milwaukee area. So if you're someone who, spends your summer in Milwaukee, it's a great opportunity to also work for a nonprofit, but try things out in an environment where you would go home at night and get to just participate with those young people during the day for day camp. And our day camps are really, really cool because our participants get to explore their interests, build on their strengths while they're learning about and exploring Milwaukee. And so they're doing really cool themes and activities like Amazing Race, or one of the camps, they build a boat and then actually get to float it down the Milwaukee River. Or there's a camp about learning to bike in the city and getting to explore via bike. So lots of really cool topics and things to explore there. And that also has a competitive salary. Our counselor positions start at $15 an hour and our coordinators start at $17. So lots of cool reasons to work at our camps. And now I'm going to pass it to Haley so she can share a little bit more about what we're looking for in candidates and how to actually apply for those jobs.
Absolutely. Thank you, Eve. And I hope that whether it's the mission or some of the activities that you've heard about, some of this is resonating with you at this point. And so maybe you're wondering, is camp for me? What are you looking for in a candidate? And truly, like, at the root of it all, we are looking for folks who enjoy working with young people, who believe that with the right supports and access to quality programs and experiences, that all young people are able to achieve at the highest level imaginable. We're looking for people who are enthusiastic about new experiences and willing to kind of bring that energy and enthusiasm and share that with the camp community throughout the summer. And we're looking for folks who can stay calm under pressure, be willing to embrace change, be a little bit flexible, because when we're doing sort of people-facing work, and also especially out at overnight camp, dealing with sort of the natural elements out there too, there's always unexpected things that happen. But we are looking for a team that can just stay centered on that mission and keep moving forward and keep providing those extraordinary experiences for our young people. And that's it. Like, if any of those things resonated with you, we can teach through our staff training process those specific skills and processes and systems that will help you be successful in the role. But if the mission lands with you, like, camp is for you. I can't stress that enough. And we can figure out, you know, we can guide you and train you in some of those other specific pieces as we go. And so, as Eve mentioned, some of the positions that are available seasonally for both day and resident camp, we are looking for counselors, for coordinators, for members to join our seasonal leadership team and really shape the culture and community of our team this summer. And then, depending on your interest and experience, resident camp also has opportunities to do some of the behind the scenes work, like working in our kitchen, working on our health team, and on our facilities team as well. And if you have a specific interest or hobbies that you have experience kind of sharing with other people, we're looking for instructors too to lead activities for our young people and to teach them some of those things like horseback riding and archery, and things that maybe you have an interest for and experience with. So I'm going to ask Eve to go to the next slide. And we're going to use, in a moment, we're going to use our annotate tool again, because I want to hear or get a sense for how everyone in the room right now sees themselves or could picture themselves at peak. And that might be facilitating activities for campers, leading and teaching your peers, building community, enjoying the outdoors, supporting behind the scenes, or instructing a specialized activity. All of those things are just crucial components of what it takes to operate camp during the summer. So I want you to use your annotate tool and just put some stamps on ones that stand out to you. Where do you picture yourself at camp? Yes, I'm seeing some love for the outdoors. All about that community building. And behind the scenes, that is, like I said before, I'm the assistant director of camp operations. So behind the scenes is my front of the scenes. That's my world. So I've got a lot of love for that too. Facilitating activities for campers. I see some love for leading your peers. It's awesome. So if you put a stamp on that slide, camp is for you. All right, Eve, you can go on ahead to the next page. So if you are picturing yourself at peak for this summer, you can go ahead and scan that QR code right now so that you have the link to our hiring page. So if you're able to do that, go ahead and scan that QR code. Otherwise, I'll ask Dan to put the link in the chat as well to our hiring site. Give folks a moment to pull that up. Save it for later. And I'm also going to walk through what that page looks like just so that it feels familiar if and when you choose to go ahead and apply for a position. This is what the site that you will be brought to. Oh, I wonder if people, Eve, did you stop sharing? Beautiful, love it. So you should be able to see our hiring site right now. And this lists all of our opportunities, and you're able to filter by Boscobel, which is again our overnight camp, Lake Valley camp, and then Milwaukee positions as well. So if you are leaning towards one or the other, you're able to filter that way. Otherwise, you can just go ahead and kind of explore these different descriptions. I know Eve mentioned the wage for both our overnight and day camp positions, but those are also listed in the job descriptions. So if you're kind of comparing or curious, those are listed, and as well as any training that's provided along with the role to support you. So I'd encourage you to kind of explore those things. And then Dan also mentioned kind of what it's like to have a career and kind of to pursue nonprofit as a lifetime field. And you will see that on here, we are currently hiring for a senior director of programs. That's one of our annual positions. And I just wanted to highlight that because camp really can be a piece of the puzzle of your larger career journey. And if you choose to continue in that youth leadership space, opportunities like this senior director of programs role, like that could be in your future. That could be what this is building to. So if you're curious about like what is a couple steps down the road in the nonprofit and youth leadership space, like this is a good way to kind of get a sense of what's out there and what some of those opportunities could look like. And I am going to, let me pick one, equestrian instructor. Say you love horses and you've been riding and you've got some riding experience. This is one of the positions that's available. So you'll go through, basic responsibility, compensation, and benefits. But I also want you to see just super briefly what it looks like to apply for a position, because it's pretty straightforward. You will just enter some basic contact information. A resume is required. A cover letter is optional. Definitely no worries, no stress about that, but please just do include a resume with some of your experience for us to refer to. And then there'll just be a few short questions for you to answer. We'll ask you to provide 2 references. And then there's a brief survey that we'll ask you to take as well. And that's it. It's all just this one page. Should take about, I would say 20 to 30 minutes, including that 6-minute survey at the end. Should be a pretty quick process. And then after applying, the next steps for the resident camp positions is that you'll complete the application. You would receive an email invitation to interview, and that's typically just one like 45 minute to hour long conversation to get to know you, your skills, and why you want to work at camp, so that we can make sure that you're in the role that's going to really let you shine this summer and grow and display some of those skills. And then for day camps, if you're applying for one of those positions, after you apply, the follow-up is a phone screening, and then they do a group interview process. So you're given a scenario with a group and you work that through together. If the scheduling doesn't work out, they can also schedule a solo interview for you, but they do a group interview typically for that process, so you know what to expect. So I'm gonna stop sharing that. Oh, that was so smooth. Okay. And so just as we kind of wind down our information sharing here, I just want to be really clear that Peak is more than just a summer gig. We really want to make sure that our staff's experience with Peak leaves you feeling more confident, more skilled, and more connected. And so I hope that you will consider joining the Peak team and creating extraordinary experiences and nurturing relationships with us this summer. So we're going to go into a Q&A. That QR code again is to the hiring site, so make sure that you save that for later. The link is also in the chat. And we will, at this point, open it up for any questions that you all have, either out loud or you can drop those in the chat. We'd be happy to answer them.
All right, it looks like we have a question from Gianmarco.
Yeah, hi. So could you guys describe the difference between the normal camp counselor position in contrast with the boys leadership position, for the one for grades 9 through 12?
Yeah, let me jump in there. Thank you for that excellent question. I'm glad to hear you're looking through those positions. So our overall counselor position, we have 2 villages at Res Camp. So we have a Pioneer Village, which is grades 3 through 5, and then we have a Voyager Village, grades 6 through 8, and then separately from that we have our high school village, which is 2 cabins. We call those are LTs, or our leadership trainees. And so let me talk a little bit about the difference there. So in our Pioneer Village and our Voyager Village, our counselor roles are really taking on a leadership role with those campers, being with them, helping them through their day, leading some activities, like just helping them build relationships, develop community, do their day-to-day, work on their personal goals. It's really a beautiful relationship. For our high school counselors, we only have 2. So for the rest of the cabins, you know, we have like 8 counselors in each part of the Pioneer Village. We've got a bunch over in Voyagers, but for our high school, it's a very specialized leadership training program. And so we only have 2 counselors there, 1 boys and 1 girls. And that is helping to guide our high school students in an internship program that they're participating in. So we're really elevating their leadership development by providing paid internship opportunities. So while they're still campers and they still are participating in the fun and exciting experiences at camp, they also have larger roles and responsibilities at camp to show up as leaders and as role models and to help our camp community while simultaneously growing their skills that are going to help them in leadership roles back in the Milwaukee community or elsewhere. And so those roles for the counselors for that group take on a heavier lift of really providing that leadership development. One really cool thing about that is that we have a year-round staff member who actually comes from UW-Madison. His name is Mason, and he works with our teens year-round and then lives out at camp in the summer and oversees that leadership development program. And so he would be giving some guidance to both of those counselors and spending time on that program every single day.
I would just add too, this is like it's a really, that position is a really critical role in helping our young people to transition from their role as like participant and camper into, for many of them, into counselors and like young adult. So I think it is a really important role. One of the things that I think is exciting about camp employment opportunity is the progression and the opportunity for progression. I didn't get I was not a camp counselor. And I didn't get a managerial opportunity until several years into my career. But I think in the camp setting, because we have such a focus on leadership development and we have a large seasonal team, there is opportunity to get some supervisory and managerial experience early, and that I think is a really good, like, helps people to understand and help you to understand if that's something that you're into. But also it's a good resume booster when you're applying for jobs, you're looking at other opportunities, to say that you've supervised a team and that you've led in some capacity and you've led others is a unique thing that gets offered at camp that just doesn't get offered at other places.
I have a question while other folks are thinking of some other questions to ask. So Dan and any of you can answer this question. So I'm wondering, we have a lot of business majors in the room. What drew you to nonprofit work? What advice do you have for folks that are interested in nonprofits? And also to address the kind of elephant in the room about salary in nonprofits. Some folks are a little afraid of that, and being able to sustain their living after graduation. So that was a lot. Feel free to address any of those questions.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, I'm a doer, not a delegator, and nonprofit work often gave me the opportunity to like get my hands in different things and to try out a variety of different things. And I learned that really quickly. A lot of organizations have like lean structures, and that means that if you're willing to put in the initiative, you get responsibility quickly. And so I think that has been an exciting thing. And to be a creator rather than like a consumer or a delegator, I think is a really, that has been a cool thing about being a part of nonprofit. It's kept me engaged and excited about it. I think the wage thing is real, but I think it's corrected itself quite a bit over the last few years as well. So I think we've seen a lot of work for wage equity in the nonprofit sector. And I think, you know, you have to be intrinsically motivated and excited about doing this work. So like if you're motivated to like be rich and financially and you know, to have a bunch of boats and some houses, like this might not be the gig for you. But if you want to do good for humanity and be invested and involved in your community and get paid to do it, this is a great way to make that happen.
I'll also just add to that I think the opportunity to, like Dan said, lead on some things and get involved in some projects early on in your kind of career trajectory. I graduated from college. I'm not a UW grad. I'm so sorry. I'm the one on this team. But I graduated in 2016 and did a couple of years of service with AmeriCorps, and then continued working for the nonprofit that I had been placed at for a few years after that. And I graduated with my degree. I majored in Spanish, minors in education and linguistics. I didn't have teaching credentials. I knew I wanted to work with young people. And so all of those things led me to nonprofit. And I'm still here because of that like mission-driven focus and yeah, just opportunity to, I think, depending on the organization that you might choose to work for, have the opportunity to work for. There are some spaces in nonprofit where you have a lot of autonomy to notice something that could be better and to like bring a mission-driven team around that. And so I think that's what really motivates me to stay in this field.
Yeah, I'd like to co-sign what Dan and Haley said, and what Haley just mentioned at the end is exactly what I was going to say. Aside from the initial piece that gets you in because you care about making an impact in the world and like making changes, some of the inequities and things that we see, like making some changes there. Also that ability working at a nonprofit to have an influence and to see something and make a change and to be creative. I just think that's such a cool thing. And that's something I've noticed at every nonprofit you work for. You bring your passions, you bring your skills, and with your team, you are able to make changes, big changes in the world based on those things. So I think that's really cool. And I was just looking back through the chat at all of the majors that I saw. And I just wanted to note again, I think Dan put this in the chat, that we need folks with those skills at nonprofits, right? Like, one of our goals this year as an organization is for organizational visibility and to get the word out. So we've got folks that we're hiring for marketing. We have folks on our team that do marketing. And when Haley shared with you our senior director of programs position description, like really take a look at that. Our salaries are listed in everything that we do. I think when you look at that, you're not gonna be like, oh, that's not a lot of money. Like it is, you know, it's a wage that I think would be good for a lot of people, and we put some thought into that to try to make that equitable, as Dan said. So like just looking at the marketing and the business management and the HR and all of that kind of stuff, all of those roles have spaces at nonprofits.
Other questions from the crowd? Well, I'm curious if you could chat a little bit about what trends you're seeing with youth development, with camp, with nonprofit work. What sorts of trends could future professionals in the industry expect?
Yeah, I think this is something that as an organization we have always embraced, but I've seen it as a growing trend in youth development is just a little more like project-based and experiential work, and also a lot a lot around creating platforms and opportunities for youth voice, and understanding that, like, to address inequity, you really, and to be empathetic to the needs of young people, you really have to incorporate young people in the design of programs. And that wasn't always the case, right? Like, for a long time, there was a lot of adultism, and, you know, the grown folks made decisions on what kinds of experiences young people would have. So I think we've seen a really significant shift for the positive there. And also, I think that translates into, like, shared leadership models, and I think a really involved and invested and inclusive team dynamic where you know, team members have a voice and get to provide feedback on the direction of the organization, rather than being, like, told what you're going to do for the eternity of your time with the organization. I think, like, really having influence on how and what the organization does in pursuit of its why is something that we have seen as a trend in nonprofit. I think it's ahead of the curve when you're talking about, you know, when we talk about a lot of things that I think we have been dealing with across our nation when it comes to equity. I think the nonprofit has been ahead of the curve on a lot of those things. And I think are trendsetters, right, when it comes to, like, what should be the norm.
Yeah, and I'll also just add that I think we've seen an increase in focus. You know, we talk about hard skills and soft skills, but there's been a real increase in focus on those soft skills, or, you know, the social, I apologize, I live under a flight path if everybody's hearing that plane. You know, focusing not only on learning those hard skills, but focusing on participant mental, emotional and social health has become a much bigger focus. And I think that's only going to continue to grow.
Fantastic, thank you. So I'm wondering, as we're winding down on time, if each of you could maybe give us a final takeaway, advice you have for the audience, future professionals in the nonprofit area. I would love some parting words from you.
All right, I'm going to try to keep it short and sweet. Working at camp will change your life. You'll have an incredible experience and gain skills that you wouldn't be able to gain anywhere else. And you'll also have a huge, huge impact on the young people that we serve.
Yeah, I think Eve mentioned earlier on too that, you know, sometimes people work at camp and then their career path changes. I was one of those people. I worked at a camp all 4 summers throughout my college career. And, you know, maybe it wasn't a drastic change, but I had gone into my first summer of camp with, like, I was the type of person, I had every class planned out that I was going to take for the next 3 years of my, like, I had it figured out by semester. And I left and I left a summer at camp realizing, like, you can have a plan for things, but, like, a really important skill is to be able to pivot and to be able to, like, embrace change and open yourself up to a lot of different possibilities. And so I went back to school and I changed my major, and I kept working at camp. And after, like, a 5-year hiatus, I'm back at camp again. But I think just the flexibility, the leadership, the, like, team building, and like, peer leadership opportunities that present themselves in a camp space are hard to come by in a lot of other settings. And I think regardless of what your long-term career goals might be, like, camp truly is a place where you can practice leadership, practice community building, practice advocacy, and all of those things. So camp is for everyone.
Yeah, I would just say, I think the work that I've been able to do in the nonprofit sector, like, it's been meaningful from the beginning. And I think You know, like if you're about change, like this is the kind of work that you want to be doing. I also think the personal and professional growth that I've experienced, you can't do people-facing people work and be terrible, right? Like people around you will help to make corrections for you, and you can't be like insular in that space. And I think I have grown so much professionally and personally that I don't know that I would have gotten that kind of feedback, input, support, and development opportunity in any other career path. I think this is just one where you have to be empathetic. You have to understand how you're showing up, and if you don't, like, people will tell you, and you'll figure it out as you go. And I think it's a really good thing. So I know I would not be the person that I am today if I hadn't had these experiences.
Thank you. And shout out to Madison in the chat for a participant takeaway. Do not listen to the stereotype that you will make little to no money working for a nonprofit. So thanks, Madison, for that as well. So as we wrap up, I'm hoping you can all join me in thanking our friends at the Peak Initiative for taking the time out of their day to talk about the wonderful work they're doing in Milwaukee and basketball and really around the state. So use your clapping button, say thank you in the chat. And I'm also would love to thank the UW System Career Tracks Committee for their collaboration on this project. This track has been recorded and will be made live for viewing no later than noon on Monday. So let your friends, your classmates, your colleagues know that they can take a look at this recording on our website on Monday. Well, thank you, everybody. I'm going to stop the recording and thank you all for coming. If you have other questions that you want addressed by our presenters that you didn't feel comfortable sharing, we can stick around to after we stop the recording. So thank you all. Have a great Wednesday and rest of your week.